Welcome back. Let's talk to a researcher and educator. Okoyemi Fasanya, she joins us in our Lagos studio. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me here today.
I think the most exciting part of your story is the fact that you have a PhD at 27.
Yes, I have a PhD.
So you spent all your life reading books.
Exactly. While my mates were enjoying their 20s, I was reading books.
How demanding was that?
Oof.
How demanding?
It took a lot. It took a lot. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of sacrifice because, again, I said there were people at my age were doing a lot of things, but I was more about research. I just wanted to do research. So when I started my master's, I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed the research process, and that was why I said I want to do more. I don't want this, process to end. So after my master's, I said, you know what, let's find out more. And that was why I put in for the PhD. But I did not know it would come with so much work. But yes, it was actually worth it, all of the work, because at the end of the day, it's about the impact my thesis is making, and yes, it's worth the whole
let's talk
journey.
about that. Let's talk about that impact. And I know you did development communication. So what is this all about? And how are you using it to reach out to people within your age bracket? Because it's quite inspiring.
Yes.
These days, they say the attention span of the younger generation is less than 10 seconds. But you put in the scholarly rigor to get yourself to where you are.
Yes. So for me, I believe that learning is a continuous process. And that is why when I started this journey, I thought about what I wanted to do. Communication is a key driver for social change, right? And for me, it's all about social change, it's all about social impact. So I delved into educational technology and to see how technology can bridge the gap, especially for those who are out of school. So, I mean, technology was adopted in Nigeria during COVID-19. I wanted to see how we could use, how technology was utilized, especially for public school children who probably did not have access to most of these tools. So I've been able to, my research has contributed to that field and, given several contributions and models that can ensure there's an inclusive learning framework, digital learning framework, especially for those who are out of school. So
how does it work for you, this thing you've developed?
Yes.
Maybe give us an example so that we have a common frame of reference.
Okay. So, for instance, you have lots of online learning platforms right now for students. But if you look at it, most of these platforms are basically for students in the middle class or more. We do not really think about the children who cannot have access, who do not even have access to technology to even start with. But again, they need to learn. There are a lot of children who are out of school, even when there are access to this school environment, but because of insecurity and the likes, they can't be in school. So, what my research has done is giving these contributions on how to ensure that these children who are out of school can also be in school, can remain in school using technology. So I reach out to some companies who I believe I can consult for using my research, because I believe that there should be a bridge between the town and gown. When industries, business leader, policymakers wants to make certain decisions, they actually need to start considering, academia work. They need to start considering our research. So not just, because there are lots of research that has been done. And for me, I'm just reaching out to educational technology platforms to just see how I can bring in the outcome of my research to ensure we reach the children with the digital divide.
Okay. My colleague in Abuja has questions for you. Kaide.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Jeff. Okoyemi, good to meet you, at least over the camera. I'm really intrigued by your story. As Jeffrey said, you bagged your PhD at 27, right? So first, I want to know what your timeline is like. Because you see, at that age is when some people are just finishing, their degree, their either BSc or what have you. So does your story smell of private university? I can smell private university in your story. Am I correct?
Okay, I don't like that you use the word smell of private university, but...
Okay, the fragrance of private university.
Okay, that works. So, yes, I'm starting my PhD at 22, actually. Yes, and I started early. I started education early, thanks to my parents. I really don't want to go into details of how I went through secondary school and all of those processes, but I started my PhD at 22, and now I'm 27.
Wow.
And of course,
wow.
Yes.
So again, okay, you can land on that point. Exactly. And this is by no means, I mean, it's great that we have private universities. I think it's good we have it. I mean, some people to show that this is possible. As I said earlier on, at that 22 when you started PhD, is when some people are still trying to finish first year because of strikes and all of the back and forth. So it's good to see that these things are actually possible, and I think that's what private universities, you know, bring to bear. But speak to us about the quality, the rigor, and then the outcome, because a lot of people think education is a scam, right? There are lots of young people who say, nah, I don't want to do education, right? It's a scam. What they are teaching us in school is not relevant to real life. You finish school and you don't get the job. Imagine people who studied banking and finance, and they are, you know what? The point is education a scam? I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get, is education a scam for you? And what are the qualities in education?
Okay, so education is definitely not a scam, and as you can see, but I'd like to say I understand why so many people will think this way, but I think we need to start redefining what education is truly is. You know, we need to start redefining how even children at foundational stage view education. It's way beyond certificates and, you know, all of that. It's actually more of the skills, the process, you know, the responsibilities, the experience that comes with it. So that's basically what education is. And for me, I had to think about impact while doing my PhD. Of course, it was a rigorous process. There were lots of times where I doubted myself. There were lots of times where I doubted my research. But for me, it was honestly just about impact. So I was even thinking about getting a perfect thesis or writing a perfect dissertation. I was just particular about what kind of impact will this thesis make? What policy could it possibly influence? You know, what change could it bring in the world? So that was what I was just basically interested in. So education is definitely not a scam. Just rethink what education is. Yeah.
So we're quite impressed. That's what we brought you here. And for everybody who did a course in university, you know, they did this research methodology.
Yes.
One of the things that you will be told is some of the dangers of the research you see in some countries, call it publish or perish, within the academia, where everybody's expected to, you know, improve on their degree to get promotion and all of that. So you see all kinds of publications, whether they are relevant to the society or not at the end of the day. So we're happy that you looked at the society and you said, this is how far I want to go in terms of making impact. Somebody said, don't focus on success, focus on fulfillment. So have you been finding fulfillment in this? And what are the projects you're taking on to practically deploy these things you did with the academics and deploy it practically in the lives of the young people?
Yes, so for me, what I've started doing actually is through my foundation, and what I do there is to inspire and foster young minds, right? One of the reasons why I also pushing my PhD is because I want to be able to inspire young minds to know that, yes, regardless of your age or situation, you can do so much. And with my PhD thesis, lots of children, when they see me and realize, oh, you have a PhD, they're inspired and also want to know how they could also do more. So yes, why we need to start thinking beyond academic. PhD is not just about making academic contributions. Why most people would think I would remain in university teaching. I'm not doing that. I want to stay in primary and secondary education, foster young minds, help them discover themselves, help them build things. Basically, I'm interested in raising young leaders.
So I can see some of the things you're doing on the street. Maybe you talk us through what exactly you're doing with the young people. I don't know, what are you converting here? What are you converging them on? Where is this? How are you getting funding to drive all of this as we begin to wind down?
Yes. So again, I say I like to inspire young minds. I have an SDG club, that's Sustainable Development Goals Club I've created in schools. And the students understand how important it is for them to be global leaders, but they also know they need to start locally. So one of the things is our community cleanup project that some of the students took on as their graduation activities. We've also had times where the students created a proposal. They submitted a proposal to donate books to villages, to schools in villages, and then they do all of those things. Now, how do we fund these things? Honestly, the students I train are the best. They save their feeding fee. They just save their fee to ensure that, yeah, they can give back to the community. So while we look out for funds, the students make daily, weekly contributions. Like when we donated over 100 books to some students in a rural area, the students bought those books themselves with contributions from the schools, of course, but they were involved in all of those processes. And that is the kind of generation I'm leading. Global leaders, children will see challenges and are all about solving these challenges, yes.
Brilliant, brilliant. We're all for you and we're supporting you. That's why we brought you here.
Thank you very much.
Because you're democratizing opportunity by telling these children, go to school, get your hands dirty to support people as much as possible in the most legal way. Thank you so much. Researcher, educator, 27-year-old Ph.D. holder. You love books.
I love books.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.